Good morning, everybody. We're just out doing a quick chore time this morning. As you can see, they really kind of didn't eat outside. Everybody was getting cabin fever. Been cooped up with some bad weather for most of the winter, I'd say.
And here's how we get fresh water in the middle of winter.
I don't think it hurt you, though. Yard distance from the phone. This is how we have fun, people.
Igloo. Build an addition on your house really cheap.
Damn you! I don't think it's going to go by itself somehow. Darn it.
The Iceman cometh.
Oh, yes, he does every morning here.
Figured it was time to give everyone a shop tour. In front of me here, I've got a reloading bench. I do my own reloading. Save a lot of money that way. Of course, there's the cost of the equipment and everything, but it does, over several years, pay for itself. Over here, got the boiling tank that we do rust bluing in. And, you know, it's amazing what you can do with a hot plate. But that's what we use for a heat source. Next to that, we have dual boxes, some parts bins against the wall here. Antique shotgun project that I might get around to. Over here we've got our main bench, and this is where we do most of the work. You know, cleaning, repairs, wood finishing, metal refinishing, sometimes making parts. Lots of phone calls trying to find parts. And over here we have a custom rifle that we're taking on a commission to make a modern magazine work into it. So far no luck, but I'm hopeful. Across the shop here on the back wall we have our combination lathe milling machine. And this was fun moving in. It was a bit of an adventure, but we'll leave that for another time. Back on this end, we have where we keep our customers' guns, ones that are to be worked on, and then things that are finished. And from back here, you can see the far side of the shop. On the left, follow me up here. I hope I'm not getting you all dizzy. On the left side, we have our sales rack. This is stuff that's been reconditioned or traded in to be reconditioned. And then over here, this is stuff that is either in the process of getting repaired or, again, has been refinished, and we're just waiting for customers to pick them up. We keep everything locked up. One you'll notice is out. The fellow's dropping by today to pick it up. And we have the wrapper from our supper up there. There's a couple of them. The bigger one's the one I got last year. So got a better deer than Tina, finally.
So begins the segment of what constitutes gunsmithing. Would you like to enlighten people on a basic level?
Okay, well, on a very basic level, a gunsmith, you're doing the same thing as a mechanic will do for your car. Gunsmithing itself, it's puzzles, it's carpentry, it's fine furniture, machining, a lot of research.
You mentioned, but on a watchmaking scale, for a lot of it.
Pretty much, because you can deal with some pretty tiny parts. And patience, you need a lot of patience. But the fun part, what I enjoy about it, other than, just working on puzzles and just the history of them, is meeting the people, getting the family stories. It's always different, it's always changing.
What would be reasons that people in general shouldn't try to fix their own guns?
With the benefit of YouTube, yeah, there are some very good and competent videos out there. But people will take a look at this and they'll try fixing it themselves after watching one video and really not understanding how everything goes together and just the relationship of these parts. Then that's where you can get into trouble. And we've had quite a few come in like that.
You have mentioned too that not understanding metallurgy and chemistry, it's just not a good idea for them to be fiddling with something as fine-tuned as a firearm.
But metals have properties that are affected by heat, and you do something wrong or you overheat things, they're not affected in a good way. But the metallurgy, yeah, there's that. Carpentry, the way a gun is put together, even on the stock. If you don't understand how that's put together and how things are supposed to be attached, or you even use the wrong kind of wood.
There's also the case where a firearm could be worth a significant amount of money, or not even so significant, but a few $100s. And when somebody tries to fix it or restore it, they damage that value forever because it's not done correctly.
Had a couple of years ago a customer who came in and he asked me to restore the bluing, that dark blue coloring that you have on firearms. And I took a look at the rifle and I said, well, what do you know about it? He says, well, he understood it was built in 1899 and it wasn't a very common caliber. And I said, wait, let me do some research on it. I can restore the wood, or at least make it look that it hasn't been so badly beaten, but the metal I don't want to touch. And I got back to him, I'd done the research, and I said, well, the reason I'm not touching it is because of the value of the gun. And I asked him what he paid for it. And then I told him, yeah, with the original finish on this gun, it's worth over $2,000.
There's also a safety issue again of you don't know what each part really does in a gun. Or you might know its ostensible purpose, but what is it doing along with the rest of the parts to hold that gun together when you're using it? So you don't want to be fooling around with that or possibly weakening those small, like some of those springs are so delicate you wouldn't think they belong in a gun. And yet they are what control the entire function of it.
As Tina made the analogy to watchmaking, because some of those really tiny springs, looks like that's where they came from, but they're very critical to the function of the firearm. Yeah, the safe function of that firearm.
And there, yeah, as we know very well in the shop, there are more wrong ways than right ways to put some of those guns back together.
Yep.
We've had trouble with a few of them, and it takes several tries and lots of looking up videos and diagrams and stuff that most people wouldn't even know how to look up, especially with an old model.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not something that you can pick up a gunsmithing for dummies and hope that you'll be able to do everything all at once, because it's quite a learning curve. I've been doing this since I was 14, and I've done a lot of reading and a lot of research. I'm still learning every day, but I like doing it. I like puzzles.
What would be the oldest thing we've had come in the shop?
Oh, very interesting. It's a Greener shotgun that was manufactured in 1850. Now, he could pay the fee to Greener, who is still in business in England, and they would be able to tell him who the original purchaser of this shotgun was. What he had us doing was restoring the finish on the barrel to that plum brown that it originally left the factory with. And that was a very, well, it's a little nerve-wracking because there's no real leeway for error on this thing, and it turned out quite nice. We saw a picture of it when he'd taken it on a pheasant hunt, and there he was with the pheasants and the shotgun, and of course it had been a while since I'd seen it. So, that's a really beautiful barrel, I said. And he says, well, yeah, that's the one you just... So it is. So sometimes you get so close to the project that you don't realize that, maybe things turned out a little bit better than you expected them to.
And what about the other Greener that came in here with the missing hammer screw?
Oh, yeah. It's another friend of ours. He and his father used to go to these rendezvous,
Reenactments,
yeah,
basically.
early reenactments from around 1812 era. And he was talking to his dad and a competition shoot, and this is an original Greener from 1855. And he's talking to his dad, and the powder goes down the one barrel, and then the wadding, and then the shot, and the overwad. And he's still talking to his dad, and then the powder goes down, and then the wadding goes down, and then the shot goes down, and then the shot goes down again, and then the overwad goes down. The right barrel went off, no problem. He touched off the left barrel, bruised his shoulder, and the hammer departed the gun. And here is a screw that has broken off this gun, replacements of which have not been available since about 1880. And I had a friend of mine who is a master machinist who took one look at it, and he said, oh, I've always wanted to try something this small. Because it's a very tiny screw. It's a 540. It's around about a 16th inch roughly screw on there. And I had to take that thing out. The only thing I had available was a Dremel and a really good magnifier, and that was probably one of the most nerve-wracking parts removals of my life, because I could not screw this up at all. There was no way to fix it if we did. We got it out, we got the part in, and the gun is still happily showing up at reenactments. So he was quite happy with that one as well. But you know, things like this you don't see very often, but it's kind of a privilege, and you'll get the history, and that's what I really enjoy about it, is the family stories.
Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next video.
All right. Take care.